Hello and welcome to Ferris Sports Update. I'm your host, Brody Kaiser. Thanks so much for being here with us. On today's show, we'll talk Ferris State football and volleyball as both teams get set for the postseason. We'll update you on Ferris State women's basketball after the start to their year. Joining us first on today's show, Ferris State football head coach Tony Annese. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brody. Thanks for having me.
Big way to end the regular season. An undefeated season, but that game against Davenport was just so much fun to be a part of. What was the emotion like for you after winning that game?
Well, it's just a relief, right? I mean, it's one of those situations where, you start the year, you're ranked #1 in the nation, probably some unrealistic expectations, but our guys, I guess, internalized their opportunity, and, it's hard to win every week, and then to win 11 straight, and looking back, it's just like, what a monumental achievement. And then, obviously, to finish with, Saginaw and Davenport, where, the head coaches were here coaching for us here, and they're always ready for us. And so it's been tough, People are like, oh, you were tied at halftime with Davenport. Well, it's better than the 2 years previous because we were down the 2 years previous. So, yeah, it was a great win.
At the end of the game, you pulled out a chip during your post-game interview. Can you talk about what that signifies for this group?
Yeah, so we give them a chip, and it basically says keep your chip, and ultimately what it is trying to kind of send the message that it's hard. Everybody talks about, oh, you're defending national champs. I mean, are you going to be complacent? How do you keep your guys up for it and things like that? So we really work on training the mind to get our guys to really keep this chip on our shoulder, and that's really what any great team has to have. You got to be able to be ready every week. You got a huge target on your back. I said that after the game. It's like everybody's shooting to get us, right? And so for us to get through, 11 straight and, achieve our third goal. Our first goal was win the GLIAC. Second goal was to make the playoffs. Third goal to go undefeated in the regular season. So 3 for 3, now a new season, a 5-game season, and you just got to chip away at it one by one.
We'll take a look at the highlights from the game against Davenport. The win over Saginaw Valley was so thrilling, the double overtime game. What was the energy level like for the team heading into this game against Davenport?
Well, we had also already won the GLIAC championship, so the challenge is now, having the right mentality to finish it, and I talked to them before the game about, finishing. There's nothing greater than being 11-0, best you can do in the regular season, right? But, obviously they had a great start. They drove down the field, less than 5 minutes, scored a touchdown. So they did a really nice job, very prepared, and then we were chasing them really for most of the half.
As you mentioned, they get out to the hot start, but got to be proud of your guys for the way that they hung in there and kept battling despite falling down early.
Yeah, I know. We faced this, and then we turned the ball over, and the very next play they score. So now we're down 14-0, and they got all the momentum in the world. But we did a really nice job here, driving down the field and eventually scoring. And whenever you can answer scores here, Wyatt takes it in, and whenever you can answer scores, put yourself in a situation where you're a little bit more comfortable. It's key.
You just saw a big catch there from Carson, not only getting it done as a quarterback through his career, but this year a little bit of a different role. We see him as a blocker throughout this game. Talk about him and the impact he has on your football team.
Yeah, he's been amazing. He's a great athlete. He's been a guy that's been a real big positive force for us, and his versatility really helps us be creative as, here he is again, but be creative as, building a system around him.
When you're down by 2 scores early in the game, what's the message to the players at that point?
Just, keep going. We didn't really talk too much about it. Just keep on going. And here we're back down 2 scores, because we turned the ball over. We blocked the extra point, and Alston takes it. So we only lose 5 on that one rather than 7.
When you talk about a point swing like that, how big are those 2 points for a play like this?
Well, those are big. I mean, it's 21-7 or 20-9, excuse me. And so pretty big, and then here we just chip away at it. Reek speed in space is incredible, and so we got to get him the ball in those situations. And Chase rolled in. I had told Wyatt before the game Chase was going to play probably after the 3rd possession just to keep them both rolling and Chase did a nice job.
What's that luxury like for you as a head coach, knowing you got two guys that can go out there at the quarterback spot and perform?
Well, that's how you build the system. Here, Chase, he was a 10-400 meter guy in high school. I think he holds the school record in 2 events already here at Ferris. I think he broke them as true freshman, and so he can really roll. He's a really good player, and they're both great friends. So it's super to have.
You mentioned the score at halftime tied up. What's the leadership group doing in the locker room at that point?
We just talk about football. What do we need to do to just keep it moving, and we really wanted to have a great first possession of the third quarter, and it was a disaster. We ended up not doing anything with it. We punted to them, our only punt of the game. They punted to us, and then this drive, and this put us ahead by a score. And our defense shut them out in the second half, which was huge.
Yeah, talk about that defensive performance. Davenport was running the ball very, very well in that first half and continued to try to establish it through the game, but the defense put the clamps on in that second half.
Yeah, our defense plays really hard, and like I said, they caught us a little bit by surprise in the first half by just their downhill run game, and our coaches did a really nice job at halftime, basically making some adjustments, and we contained them very well in the second half.
Got a lot of leaders on that defense, guys who have been around this team for a few years now. Some of those key guys, maybe in the secondary and up front that you've really liked the growth through their leadership roles.
Yeah, here's Stanley Lambert. He's one of them. He got a sack there. Here's another one, Nolan Ziegler. He's really growing as a player. And then, obviously Jay Pay. This is the only game in the GLIAC he didn't have a pick, and I think he scored 2 touchdowns for our team, which helps our offense a lot. And so it always isn't always offense and defense. Right there you saw Davenport had a scoop and score, and so those are challenging things to overcome.
You talk about, going back to the earlier question about the chip and losing some guys to the portal last season. What was that accomplishment like for the players, knowing that they got through the season undefeated?
I hope good. Even last night, I talked to them about, I'm going to wake up for a while here, and I'm going to say to myself, first thing I'm going to say to myself is 11-0, because a lot of times you just are on to the next one, which we are, but you never really fulfill you never feel the great achievement, and so I want them to feel that, because it's really very hard to do, to be 11-0.
Turning the page now into the postseason. Obviously exciting to be playing at home in Big Rapids, and a big game coming up on Saturday. Yeah,
Northwood, former GLIAC foe, and Dusty's done an unbelievable job there. He's been there 3 years, and probably if anybody really wanted to look deep enough into it, probably the Division II Coach of the Year. I mean, just incredible work. We've played actually 4 common opponents. They're 4-0 against the 4 common opponents. We're 4-0 against the common opponents. So it was Saginaw, Tiffin, Lake Erie, and Northern Michigan. So we both played those 4 teams, and obviously they won all 4 of those, and we won all 4 of them. So common opponents, pretty even. They've done a really nice job at really bringing this program along, and so they're going to be a real test. They're a super program, and they haven't been in the playoffs in a while, so they're really excited to be in, and we're going to have to play really well to beat them on Saturday.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for the time, and best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brody.
We'll be right back with more Ferris Sports Update.